so tired of making mistakes. Of course I'm too poor.
A lot of people I loved over 50 years of playing music checked out. They overdosed, they killed themselves. In a couple of the cases, it was a long and horrifying slide where people knew what was coming and there was nothing you could do about it. And we figured this can't happen.
Being a musician into your 60s, having been a musician for most of your working life, that's a really high mileage situation. So, 60 for a musician who's done the road thing is different for 60 for somebody who plays golf on the weekends. And we just thought that this is starting to happen. It's really not pleasant to watch. And not only was it just sort of circumstantial death, but there were a lot of people who had reached some kind of psychological terminus and sadly had done themselves in. And Ed kind of got the idea that we could play music and maybe do something beneficial with it instead of just looking for another gig for the band. We had done the last couple of Sedans records at Chris Garge's studio, Old House in Charlotte. And it was a really, really good experience. Great room. Chris, I know Ed did. Anybody who's worked with him will go on and on about Chris and how creative he is and what a great atmosphere his studio provides.
So I had a good working relationship with those guys. We got to really like each other and sort of understood where we were all coming from. We had we all had a good symbiotic working method.
Put the Walkman on, and you were playing in some other dive 1,000 miles away. I played 1,000 times before.
It was an amazing, heartwarming thing. I mean, over 50 years of playing as a musician and working as a music journalist, you develop a Rolodex that's pretty stout and have relationships with people and that sort of thing. So it started out with just the first 10 songs, thinking, okay, here are the people we want to do this, let's see if they'll do it. And to a person, it was yes.
They also drew from across all sectors of the North Carolina music community. There's representation from triad musicians, triangle musicians, Charlotte musicians, someone from Tennessee, somebody from South Carolina, so this whole basket of regional musicians coming together for this cause.
It was a lot of fun working with different people from around the state.
So by the time we were done, it was over 60 North Carolina musicians and songwriters had contributed their time and their talents to help do this.
So you take the songs that were matched perfectly to the artist, and the songs themselves describe this thematic, emotional arc.
Through his career as a music journalist and his love of music, his catalog of musical awareness is just encyclopedic.
The way it worked was I'd find a song and then I'd do some kind of breakdown that gets an arrangement away from the recording. Then Rob and Gino would come over to the house and we'd sit in the basement and start moving it.
Oh, Gino was great. Again, he's got such a long history with Ed and Rob. Gino and Rob have these playing styles that are really complementary, and their sounds are really different, but in a way that works together.
The marching order was play through these a couple times, get the changes down, and then don't listen to the original version again.
I had a rough idea of where I wanted the song to go, and invariably Gino would not only be able to hear what I was doing, simply because we played together for 50 years, but he would come up with something even better that would put it through.
I was a part of the cover of Manic Depression by Jimi Hendrix.
Manic depression is touching my soul. I know what I want, but I just don't know how to go about getting it.
Well, I personally have struggled with depression for a long time, especially in college. It was really tough for me, and graduating during the pandemic has been really tough as well. And I kind of felt all of those emotions very much peak with all the change that was happening, with also still not feeling like I was moving anywhere. So with my own struggles with mental illness, it really resonated. So I got to record it like in my bedroom at my home studio, and I just kind of got to like, you know, just really let all my emotions out from the past like year and a couple years. Just to let all those feelings out was really cathartic.
Yeah, we did. Ed sent me a song called Ruby Beach by the Houston Brothers, and it just seemed like a song that I kind of wish I'd written anyway.
Got a pair of eyes that look like jewels of ruby peach. I know the days go by and they're not always so sweet.
Well, last year and a half, like a lot of people, have just been kind of hunkered down at home, and that kind of suited my personality a little bit anyway. When the world kind of slowed down and stopped, I kind of felt like it was more at my speed anyway. So I did a lot of recording last year at home, you know, made a record of my own, and then when Ed asked me to do this one, it was just like I was still kind of in the mode of making records, and it was pretty easy. And having my daughter there, who's a great harmony singer and actually knows what she's doing, it was a lot of fun.
And then I'm singing the song by the venerable North Carolina songwriter, musician Peter Holzapfel, called Away with Love. And that was a lot of fun.
Away with love, do away with love, away with love, do away with love. Enough is enough, enough is enough.
I really felt this was a worthy cause and worth my time and contribution. And I think it would be to other people's as well, to listen to it and try to understand the mission.
The song that I sang was a song called Be Good to Yourself. And I played some piano and keyboards on that and sang.
Babe, oh, it's not farewell. You can count on me when it's a friend you need. All the same, hope it all goes well.
Love these guys, Ed and the whole crew. You know, when I was coming up, they were Ed and Rob and Gino and all the guys were, you know, the generation ahead of me, and the guys that we looked up to, try to steal their moves. So I'm always going to be on board for anything they need from me.
You know the times we had been far from bad, and I hope we come together once again.
So by the time we were done, it was over 60 North Carolina musicians and songwriters had contributed their time and their talents to help do this.
You know, all the proceeds from this are going to the benefit of Abundance, North Carolina, or Abundance, NC, and that's a really unique organization.
Sort of holistic wellness, community holistic wellness. And they really took to it in that sense. They thought, well, there's a community of musicians, and there are a lot of people in that community who are not well, and this is something whereby we can underwrite, help a vehicle designed to support wellness in that community.
Anything you do when you do this, you're also helping somebody. It's one thing to listen to somebody play. There's another thing to be able to think, well, maybe I'm going to be helping somebody play. Helping somebody survive another day.
Teach you how to be true to one another.